Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Radio Dead Air Tech Q&A. You've got questions. We've got guesses. I'm Nash. Been doing Radio Dead Air for ages, but in addition to that, I'm also an IT professional. With me, as always, my producer, Mike Gearman, who also works in IT. If you have any tech questions for us, please, by all means, fire those off. Send those to requests at radiodeadair.com. Still says Fallout 3. Dang it, I forgot. Stupid ass thing. We'll switch it. Talk shows and be done. There we go. All right. That should flip us over. So yeah, we're taking your questions this week. Anything you need, go ahead and send that on over. So we'll see what we can do for you. We got a couple news stories as well. We're gonna look at those. It's kind of rare these days when it's depressingly rare when a governmental agency will do something that is good for
smart and right and good.
Yeah. But the FCC
they did it.
Did.
Now I could argue that they didn't go far enough, but you know what? Incremental change is acceptable. We can always get them to update this to include further details at a future point. And what we're talking about here is the FCC broadband nutrition labels.
Which they're not.
Nutrition labels.
They're calling it that because it looks like it. Because people
and that's easy for people to understand. It's the same. Let's be honest, Nash. It's the same way that people call large language models AI, because that's something they already knew and people understood it, even if it's not accurate.
At all accurate. The slightest bit accurate.
Yeah.
So what this does, and this is really useful, quite often you will end up with a broadband provider that will quietly sneak on additional fees and charges that are not disclosed when you sign up for their service.
If you've ever seen the TV commercials for your local internet provider or any internet provider,
the
TV commercial will say, you see something like, $59.99 a month, and then there'll be this block of tiny print at the very bottom of the screen that'll be up for a couple seconds, and you'll be like, what does that say? And then it'll say, there's tons of additional charges.
And what this does is any additional fees and charges, any of them, have to be included taxes, which also were not being disclosed as well. They have to all be disclosed up front when you sign people up for it. This also includes disclosure of data caps.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something that they are loath. You used to have to dig down on Comcast site to find out any mention of the data caps they have. Another one is that you had to dig down for, ridiculously, upload speed. They would tell you anywhere what the up to download speed was, but nobody would mention that they were only, we'll only give you like 20 megabit per second up. Like now it's starting to become 50, but.
Well, that's because they have to disclose it now. And the big thing about disclosure, especially in an area where you might have multiple ISPs competing, which is a little rare.
No.
But it does happen, is that when you have disclosure, you can actually compare the services effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly, none of them want to be the guy who's the worst.
Amazing.
Strange that. I mean, it's really bizarre. It's like going into the grocery store effectively and going, well, there's two brands of ravioli here.
Mm.
And one of them has 9,000% of your daily saturated fat and sodium, and the other has 10%. which should I get? Which should I get for my enemy? The first one, obviously.
Now it seems like so self-evident because these companies were making a ton of money by slipping in those extra fees and not disclosing them. And a lot of what's going on with cable right now is they are frantic. They have been fighting for literally decades now to avoid becoming what's known as a dumb pipe. That means the thing most people want from an ISP is an internet connection. The end.
They want to be able to go and look up whatever things are of interest to them, whether mundane or exotic, and occasionally, let's face it, illegal, and not really have to worry about much else. Now, again, the smarter people out there looking for, let's be honest, the less legal stuff will use precautions, but a number of them still won't, as we have evidenced by the periodic story from the other show about the guy who got caught because he was Googling, how do I murder my wife?
Rajami says, I'm so happy about this. Typical speed and latency is far more enforceable than the up to speeds that are currently advertised. Yeah, they also have like typical speeds listed, typical latency, and
how much data is included with your monthly price, what your overage charge is and what your maximum overage charge is.
Yeah, which is also kind of important because that's the overage for the data cap. That is something most other countries are like, what is a data cap? What does that mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
And the US may be slowly going away from it, except in the more rural and remote areas where it's so much harder to build out infrastructure.
Yeah. No, they didn't tell you any of that before. No, they were not required to tell.
They're not required. They were not required to tell. Maybe you could find it. Maybe you couldn't. The big things they would tell you is they would tell you your download speed, your monthly cost, and maybe things like, here's your one-time installation fee. Maybe they would be in there saying, this is your monthly modem rental fee, and there'd be a small line somewhere else, or you can bring your own.
Yeah. And
also hidden would often be the customer support.
A lot of the fees, as cable has lost television, and that's dead. They're keeping it alive. It's on life support. There is no brain activity, but cable television is effectively the only thing going on. Cable television is sports right now. That's it. That's the last slender thread for cable television is sports. Everything else has effectively become streaming. Nobody really needs cable TV for any of the rest of it.
The cable TV may have the occasional good show, but it's usually on a stream as well somewhere.
And cable has been losing that money for a long. It's been just long, slow decline. So part of those fees were attempting to claw back the tiny bits of extra fees they could any way they could get a little bit more profit back. This is putting a stifle on that. A lot of that, and the freaking sports fees don't even. This is putting a stifle on that, and rightfully so. I'm enjoying it. Quite. It's wonderful to see between this and reestablishing net neutrality. Not only reestablishing net neutrality, but they looked at California's law and said, "Yeah, you can keep doing that. You're fine. You're fine.
We like that law here."
Yeah, the FCC said, "Oh yeah, that law's fine. Keep doing it. We're cool with it. You have fun," which is just beautiful. It's nice to see.
It's the opposite of gurning moron, Ajet Pie.
We did not have a functioning FCC that was providing things for American citizens against corporations for the better part of a decade. Like, I remember Tom, what's his name, last guy before Ajit Pai, who the tried to do stuff like make set-top boxes not linked to, he was trying to do stuff to help, and net neutrality began under him.
Yeah.
And now it's so it's nice to see this turn around, and I'm super worried that if among all of the many other chaotic, horrible things that could happen if in the election in November, the FCC could go back to shit. In fact, worse than shit, worse than Ajit Pai. That's potentially on the table. Like, among all of the other horrible things that could potentially happen, imagine another one worse than that freaking Reese's Cup motherfucker. I know I'm putting this on YouTube. I don't care. He deserved that. He's horrible. So, anyway, moving on to Japan for this one. This is
this story makes me feel great about my life choices.
This is messed up. So, and they call him a hacker. I wouldn't specifically call this hacking.
Well, I can't necessarily agree. It depends on what all was involved in what he was doing. Don't give the detail on that.
These were exploits, quite surely, but I wouldn't call them hack. Anyway, what was going on? There's a 36-year-old interior designer, Yoshihiro Yamakawa, in Kyoto, and he was booked and arrested because he was arrested and he faces jail time because he was helping people modify their save data for Pokemon Violet.
Yeah. Including doing things like color changing their monsters, making difficult to raise monsters easier to manage. I've never Pokemon, so I don't know what that means. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, it feels weird to have a story like this and the police were involved.
He's expected 5 years in prison. 5 years in prison for editing online Pokemon. Imagine just right now, imagine anybody selling an aimbot or any sort of other cheat device for stuff like Fortnite or Apex Legends or whatnot. Imagine them.
What would happen in the US is they would maybe get sued by the developer.
Right.
And any account that the developers found that they had would get banned. Maybe.
Yeah. But sending someone to jail for that.
Well, and we say that, but wasn't there a case a couple of years ago where the police were sent after someone because they got a hold of some magic cards a day early because of a vendor shipped early?
No, the police weren't sent. The Pinkertons were sent. Hasbro hired the freaking Pinkertons.
Yeah.
Nintendo's hypervigilant about this sort of stuff because of tournaments. All the other Fortnite are vigilant about this because of tournaments. Apex Legends, Blizzard, they're all vigilant about this because of tournaments. Ain't nobody going to jail. It's a video game.
I mean, I suppose you could go to jail if your hacks involved actual hacking into the developers' systems and stealing data, because then you are violating laws. But if you're just going, I've hacked your save game data, so instead of your little pocket monster being green, it is now purple because you wanted the purple rare, and no one will ever be able to tell the difference that you didn't get the purple one. There you go. And he was charging like $30 for that.
$30. And
making a living off this, though. I mean, that's the part that gets me.
I mean, it's
at $30 a pop. He had to be doing a number of those.
the status symbol of having certain Pokemon it's the same. I mean, it's the same in a lot of live service games. The status symbol of having certain rare items to lord over other people.
I can sort of understand it because, yeah, as I've mentioned, I play World of Warcraft.
Right.
And I collect mounts, and I have some relatively rare mounts.
Yeah.
I've never hacked their game to get them.
But
I have beaten the random number generator to death.
Even still, this is just the idea. Someone is going to go to jail for 5 years because of freaking Pokemon.
Like I said, it still makes me feel better about my life choices. Like, could I have done something like this? Technically speaking, yeah, I feel that this is within my technical capabilities. Would I? No, because I'll be honest, I'd be going like, I have better things to do with the afternoon. I can sleep.
I find this insane. I find this insane that a country will go, yep, you mess with the video games, now go to jail.
And the part that also gets me, by the way, is this game that he was doing this in, which is Pokemon Violet, is apparently like the worst Pokemon game they have ever released. And he was still making a living doing this.
I just for the nothing says dystopia to me like people losing their freedom and being incarcerated over a video game that's ostensibly for children. Like, imagine somebody going to jail for freaking Roblox. Crazy.
I'm trying to think what you would have to do with Roblox that you would. I mean, I could see someone losing their mind and issuing threats, but that's just, gamers.
It's
and I am a gamer, so I don't need the comments in the YouTube chat saying I'm wrong. We all know someone who is like that.
It's just just strikes me as freaking insane. My headphone popped off. I know, live, everybody. Like I said, I have this headphone that is replaceable. There we go. Got it back on.
Maybe you need smaller ears.
Yeah, okay, I'll work on that. Okay. Last news story this week.
Crazy Blue might help.
Last news story this week. So in a twist, we had been hearing for a while that NVIDIA was not intending to release the RTX 50 series until 2025. And we believe this because of poor sales of the RTX 40 series, that there are still brand new 30 series cards in the channel that they can't move, simply because their prices are terrible.
Right.
So we thought, well, yeah, of course they're going to hold off on the new ones. They can't sell what's already on the shelves.
And unless the new ones came out and they were just head and shoulders above everything else that they had, and at a lower price point somehow, which it's NVIDIA, they wouldn't do.
They won't do. Yeah. Well, surprise, surprise! In a twist, a lot of rumors are leaking out that no, we're going to see the RTX 5080 and 5090 last quarter of this year.
And I really have to wonder why.
That there's going to be, let's see. Yeah, they were hinting before. Leak Slide said 2025, but looks like we're going to get them sooner. Now, these are going to be, the 5080 is obviously going to be on a class of equivalent to the 4090, which that will be big. It'll be 4090 performance at a lower wattage, which is always, preferable.
Always good.
The only question here is, of course, going to be price. And if they try to sell the 5080 for $1,600 or even $1,300,
they're going to sit on the shelves. They're not going to move. Barring barring something happening to thousands and thousands of video cards all at the same time, right before they hit the shelves.
No,
It's just sit there.
There's always going to be someone who buys the Halo product. The Halo product sells well. And of course, we are still in this stupid AI bubble, which is slowly bursting. If you notice, it's been kind of amusing that companies are starting to admit that we're not making any money. And a couple, I think that there was one of the image generator companies went under this week.
Oh no. Could it be that their whole scam was not profitable after all?
There's also the AI pin thing, which is imagine
missed that one.
Imagine a smartphone with no screen that you have to interact with entirely by talking to it.
I don't like talking to people.
And it requires a $300 annual subscription to function. Just to do the stuff your smartphone can already do. And it costs $700 just by itself. It's about this big.
Hold on. I didn't have you on the screen. Make the gesture again.
About that big.
Okay, so it's a Dick Tracy phone watch.
There's no screen. And it overheats.
Of course it does.
So that's $1,000 upfront cost for an incredibly shitty smartphone.
I'm still wondering if it has no screen.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you say call and you give it a number, not a person, which you may have programmed in somewhere else, and you get a wrong number because you said the wrong number, but you don't realize you said the wrong number.
Right.
You are now going to be even more insistent that the person who picked up is the one who is wrong because you can't see that you dialed the wrong number.
Well, it does have this little projector in it to put you can hold your hand in front of it and you can read, but think about it. It's a tiny projector and it's you have to project it onto something to read.
You know how we periodically say tech bros have reinvented they've reinvented the bus.
Right.
They reinvented the train.
Right.
They reinvented taking cocaine.
Right.
I'm not sure what they reinvented here other than stupidity.
Yeah, it's so of course there's going to be sales of the 5090. The companies are trying to use the high-end Halo video card products as cheap AI large learning model processors. Because, while you can get, allegedly, you can get a 4090 for about $2,000, which is way beyond its original asking price. A real AI processing card is something like $30,000 for one card. And you need dozens of them to perform these stupid tasks that don't work well.
I see in the channel, Raratu says, Alexa and Siri already exist for this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And Alexa is going under.
Yeah. Because Alexa has never been profitable. Never.
It's never been. They could, if it had been only minorly unprofitable, they could have kept it going for quite a long time and just written it off on taxes and gone, oh, we weren't paying taxes before, but now we think we are at a rebate. But no, they shut down the Alexa development.
Yeah.
That tells you that the product line is dead. They're not going to continue forward with it.
Well, and the reason why was they thought, they didn't really think about the business model. They thought people were going to order all this stuff through Alexa and they were going to make more money because people were ordering more stuff. And no, that's what are you thinking? What is wrong with you?
The only time people ordered more stuff through Alexa is when they weren't aware Alexa was listening.
Yeah.
And they accidentally said something that sounded like an order. And then they're wondering why. 50 pounds extra of dog food showed up.
So, in any event, the availability of this is going to be, we'll have to see, because they're going to be using a smaller node, a new lithography for these, which we don't know what the yields are going to look like. We don't know how many they're actually going to produce. As always, I recommend used video cards via a seller with buyer protection, such as eBay, because not only can you get a deal, and you can get still perfectly functional hardware for much more reasonable prices, but also that money doesn't go back to NVIDIA or AMD, and they deserve to suffer ever so slightly for the crap they have been putting us through. It'll be, I mean,
indeed,
in terms of just seeing what the technology can do, I'm interested. It'll be very impressive, but I just know
the real question I have is, are we going to see yet another new power connector on there, or are they going to stay with the same one, maybe a little bit more securely connected? What sort of support is this thing going to require? Are you going to actually have a bicycle kickstand in your case holding the card up?
Der Bauer made an excellent suggestion for how to fix the whole problem with these connectors, and that is to use 2 of them, because that will immediately have the amount of power that's required to go through the cable, and that could lower the melting issue and the threshold.
When you have half the current flowing through there, that's reasonable. I still think it should have been pushed to click from the beginning, and I don't know why they didn't do that, because that's been computer connectors since forever.
Well, most of the connectors that are on the lower end cards of the 40 series, like the 4070 and below, that are working on below 200 watts,
they don't have it.
They don't have any of the problem with the melting or the concerns. It's only we're like the 4080 and the 4090, which are using higher end. That's when you have to watch the thing like a freaking hawk. But so we'll see what the prices on these are going to be. We'll see what happens. On a purely technological level, it's impressive what they were able to do, but the price just
from an economic level, we got to see if it's actually affordable for a reasonable user base, or if they're just trying to take money from AI bros.
All right.
Sort of don't mind them taking money from AI bros. I think they should channel some of their profits into libraries.
Yeah.
That's me.
All right. Well, now that we've done that, it's time to look at our questions for this week. If you've got some, you can send those along to request@radiodeadair.com. We've got a couple here. Hey, Nash and Mike, quick and simple. Do you have any recommendation for monitor arms? I felt like I got 2 monitors and thought it would be neat. Thank you, John G.
So monitor arms are useful because they give you back some of your desk square footage, because you're not having the monitor stand there. Maybe you're like me and you've got your monitor stand there, and the circle of stand is where you put loose change or spare dice or whatever. But other people, hey, monitor arm, put it up above. It's adjustable. I don't have a brand I recommend. I would say the first thing I would do is look at your use case and find out how much your monitor weighs, because many monitor arms are only rated for up to a certain weight.
Yeah.
And you want to be, I'd say, 10-15% above that easily, just for safety's sake, and not have it just randomly start drooping.
Well, it's not just about the drooping. The weight can also matter to how it's mounted to your desk, because if it starts drooping, it's going to start pulling on whatever mounting mechanism is connected, and that could, depending on what your desk is made out of, if it's a lot of desks are MDF or fiberboard, and
it could just rip out.
It could just rip out. Yeah, so you have to be concerned about that sort of thing as well.
And there's probably some we could ask a mechanical engineer, some moment arm force thing going on there. I have this vague memory of that from university and never used it again. That would apply here. But yeah.
There's also a consideration. You have to make sure, if you're doing this, that your monitor has a VESA connector. VESA is, I forget what it stands for. It is the standard mounting. It's the mounting standard for screens and televisions. What it is it's simply a set of holes at a certain size point with a certain thread. I believe it's M4 or it's M3 or it's M4. It's one of those metric 3 or 4.
And there's multiple VESA, I'm going to call it specs,
right?
Whether it's a 100 millimeter by 100 millimeter offsets.
And they call that VESA 100.
Yeah, I want to say there's a 90 by 90, but I don't remember.
Video Electronics Standard Association. Thank you. That's your brother. So yeah, it's in order to work with a monitor arm, your monitor has to have VESA mounting.
Now, the only exception to that, because there is at least one exception I know of, is if your monitor doesn't do VESA, and there's still a couple brands that don't. Mm-hmm. But if they sell a monitor arm specific for that monitor,
yeah, but
those are rare exceptions, and they're shrinking because it's very inconvenient for a lot of people, especially business people who go, we need to buy, 100 monitors and 50 dual monitor arms, and they don't want to go necessarily with this one set of stuff, because then if a monitor fails, you've got to go and get that specific brand again instead of, hey, maybe what's on sale or what's better,
And cheaper monitors simply don't have VESA connectors. They have proprietary stands that are used with it, but you can't actually hook them to a VESA connector. So VESA is not just for monitor arms; it's also for mounting televisions to walls or entertainment centers. It's like a established standard, but you'll have to look at your monitor's manual and find out what VESA standard it has. It's typically somewhere VESA 75 or 100. 150 is like 120, 150 are crazy ones. Those are like for big screens. It's typically 75 or 100 for monitors. You have to see what size it is and match that up. Most arms can handle 75 and 100 because that's kind of what they're accustomed to. Points of articulation are also important here. You'll find that out after you get it. If it doesn't have enough points of articulation, well, you'll find
you're stuck with whatever configuration it thinks is right.
Yeah, and trying to get the certain monitor in the right dang thing. You'll get it like one way, but then the other axis, it won't be quite right. And it's just the more points of articulation, the better. If you're doing two monitors, it's best to maybe look into getting a dual arm.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have probably, in my opinion, the best dual arms are ones that where the up and down isn't on the arm itself, it's on both arms together. They slide up a pole. So it takes one of them off the arm itself. And then the only way, what you have to configure is this way, horizontal only.
Spread, and whether you're going to have one rotated, etc.
So that way, if you keep the height just to one pole, it's a little more sturdy that way too, because
We have monitor arms at work. I don't know what brand they are, that can support supposedly a pair of 36-inch curved monitors.
That's a bit much, but
I don't have it. I don't have a pair of 36-inch curved monitors at my desk.
It's make sure you know the weight of your monitor. It should be in your manual as well. They tend to include that. And look at reviews. Always look at reviews to see, not just the first few, look at the negative ones too, to see what the actual grievances are.
Oh, okay. Oh my God, look at the negative reviews. Okay, so I'm going to seg here briefly.
Okay.
A guy I know very recently, like last night, had a piece of electronics catch fire on him.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And he looked after the fact at the negative reviews on Amazon, none of which were highlighted, none of which were brought up early. And I said, no, this is a piece of garbage. This should be investigated that they are selling this. It is such garbage. So definitely look at the negative reviews on things. You know, the 1-star and 2-star reviews.
Yeah. All right. Next one is from Zoom. That's all just Zoom. Hello, Nash and Mike and Cats. I'm trying to use a green screen with my webcam for streaming. I'm using OBS and an Elgato face cam. Elgato's, that's not a bad little camera. It's like a $129 camera, I think. Problem is I always get a fuzziness to the outline around me. It's never clean and sharp like a weatherman. I feel like I'm doing something wrong, but I'm not sure what. Any advice? Well, first of all, in OBS, you're using the chroma key filter. Obviously, that's how that works. OBS's chroma key is very nice. It has a lot of settings on it. I assume that you have been messing around with the similarity, smoothness, key color spill reduction. Those are the settings that help you tweak it in. Like how far around you the similarity, the color that gets taken out, how close to you. That's what those settings are for. I assume you've tweaked those, but yeah, people in the channel are already saying what the issue is. Aside from
Lighting.
any setting you mess with for a chroma key on your system, it's essential to have lights on the screen. Now, how you're supposed to position lights for chroma key is they need to be between you and the screen. The lighting needs to be there, no shadows, nothing. You need pure light on that green, so as much of it as possible is straight as one singular color. Some people have there are very technical lights for this. They're like, the big giant. I have never used, and you can even see there's with certain things like back there, that's some glass in front of the green screen. You can see there's some fuzziness there. That's because that's not supposed to be in front of the green screen. But with I have just used some very bright LED bulbs. I tend to use the equivalent to 100 to 150 watt. They aren't 150 watt.
Diffuser in front of that.
Sometimes I used to use a diffuser, but they've gotten so good these days, I don't really need to use a diffuser anymore. But flat lighting also reduce any wrinkles. If it is a sheet and not if it's like fabric, get as many of those wrinkles you can out, because any wrinkle will cause a slight color alteration when light is put on it. So you need it as flat and smooth as possible. Shadows are not your friend. You want to try and get the lights in such a way that there's nothing. You get as many shadows off of the screen as possible. Typically I have lights to one side and lights to the other. From two different directions pointed at the screen. And that's always worked fairly well for me. And then just adjusting the settings as necessary. OBS is pretty powerful about that, but yeah, the key to it, you cannot just rely on I wish I could have it. Oh, actually I can do it right now. I have a way of doing this. I'm going to show you what happens when the lights, when the lights, I'm relying entirely on OBS and there is no light on my green screens. So watch that. There you go. That's what happens. And this might be what yours is looking like a little bit too. See what happens? Light is essential for making these work. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, it still kind of works, but it's very fuzzy around me. Some of the sections don't quite look right. Turn the lights back on.
I would say more than don't quite look right from what I see.
But yeah, lighting is super. When you're trying to do the chroma key thing in the green screen, lighting is an absolute must to get it right. Looks like 90s public access TV. Kind of does. I mean, if I wanted to go for that look, I could screw it up and kind of go with it. But so above all, messing with the settings will help you, but only after you get good lighting behind you on the screen. And once you've got that settled, you're good to go. That's the best advice we could. Yeah, everyone in the channel is also going lighting. Yes, absolute lighting is what you need to do. There's also color of light color, and this is weird to say. What I forget what the number signifies, but it's like a range, soft white, daylight, whatever. It's like a range of 6,000 to like 2,000. And 6,000 being like supposedly equivalent daylight, and 2,000 being like soft white inside lighting. It's like Kelvin temperature. There, well, okay, I guess that's it.
Yeah, you may need to experiment with this to see which works best for you.
I've come to find.
Fortunately, light bulbs are reusable. So if you go, oh, this light bulb was the wrong color,
actually,
just put it somewhere else in your house.
I have a solution for that. I do. I got these and they're fantastic and they're not very expensive. Okay. And these aren't even Wi-Fi connected either. So let me get here. Let me look through my orders and show you which ones I got. Come on, computer. There we go. Yeah, these are very cool. Come on, load. Here it is. All right, put this up here so you guys can see it. I mean, even if you're not using this for green screen, these are kind of cool to have in your house, by the way. So what these, I don't know if it's particular to the brand or not. These are called Fight, F-E-I-T, Electric White. They have these switches on them, which are so cool. If I can get that up on the screen where you guys can actually see it. There you go. That you can change the color temperature of the light just by flipping the switch between 2,700 and 6,500. So you can get it anywhere in that range, the exact range you want it. I tend to let mine sit at about 5,000. That has the best results for me. It's a little warmer than straight up, full, straight. But yeah, 5,000 has been the right color temperature for me. And they're not that expensive. How much was this pack? Yeah, $18 for 4 of them. And they're LEDs, so they last for freaking ever. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I got. Or something like that. That way you don't have to replace the bulbs. You just like click. Okay, I want that color. Now that's what works best. And from what I've been using, 5,000 worked the best for me. Might not for you.
Keep in mind it may be slightly different depending on what your other factors, like what color your walls are, other than the green screen, etc. Because light reflects, and may be a factor
that will color it as well. Yeah, I've got brown walls or wood panel color walls, and that does affect it because it bounces the light. If your walls are white, it's going to, like, we redid our den with white walls, and that changed how the lights worked in there, because it everything looked stupid until I changed it to a brighter or higher 5,000, 6,000 Kelvin. Then things looked okay again. So, all right, last one. This one is going to be a pain in the butt. Crap.
Could be, but I think I know what the answer is.
Okay, cool. Hi, Nash and Mike. Apologies for this one. I'm having a problem with my desktop. When I'm playing games like Cyberpunk or Final Fantasy VII or anything with big graphics, I'll get about an hour or so into playing and the whole computer resets. I don't even get a blue screen. It just shuts down and comes back on. I was worried it was overheating, so I took out the side panel and I aimed a fan at it, but that hasn't made any difference. I I can play other games like Starbound, and it doesn't have any problem. Do you know what Starbound is, Mike?
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's kind of a retro game, kind of pixel looking kind of graphics, like
okay.
16,
So
16
far
bit
lower
graphics.
lower graphic requirement.
Yeah. And it doesn't have any problems. It's only when I try to play big ones that it acts up. I've updated my drivers and updated Windows and Steam, and my games are all up to date. If you have any suggestions? Specs are Ryzen 5 5600, Gigabyte GTX 2070, 16 gigs of RAM, MSI B450, and EVGA 650 watt power supply built by a friend. Thanks in advance, and thanks for the show, Roger in West Virginia.
I'll be honest with you. I think it's the power supply.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason I say that.
Okay.
I took those specs and plugged them into Newegg's power supply calculator.
Yeah.
To say, what power supply range should we be at here? And it said, you should probably have a 600 watt power supply for that. Now, I'm going to suggest that Roger, I'm going to note, Roger did not list everything on the computer. He didn't list his drives. He didn't list anything else the computer might be powering, which will bump it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So my feeling here is that at some point in the play session, the draw has gotten so big on the card, it's requiring more power, and it just goes, nope, and trips something in the power supply and comes down.
Yeah, because the GTX 2070, it recommends at least a 650 watt, but that's like at least is one of that's like saying and I feel like I
feel this is very fixable. If you threw a 750 to an 850 power supply in there, you'd be good and you wouldn't have this problem.
Also, it's an EVGA, which I don't know how many new ones. How many are they selling stores? New ones?
I do not know. I know my recollection is it wasn't the best brand of power supplies back in the day.
They were pretty good. I mean, there were two things. There were power supplies and graphics cards, and they stopped making graphics cards.
I must be misremembering another brand then.
But I don't. It's EVGA 650. You don't give us the exact model number, so we don't know. It might be a little bit older.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be time like a 750, or heck, if you're going for it, go. If you're upgrading, get an 800 watt.
Get an 800 to 850.
You shouldn't need anything past that. It'll give you some headroom if you ever upgrade later. But I think the 650 for what you're running, and the GTX 2070 is not the most efficient card.
No.
We've got better cards that are more efficient now for that power, for that performance level. Like a 2070, that's about, I'd say a 36, between a 3050 and a 3060. Probably closer to a 3060. And that way, with each generation, what they do is they're able to provide the same performance with less power requirement. And they get more efficiency because they improve lithography of the chip. They shrink the transistors. They make it so that it needs less power to do the same amount of work. 2070 is from, when was that? 2018, I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So that is a 6-year-old GPU, and efficiency has come a long way in the last 6 years. So, like, you still need an external power connector, but you'll get, when you get a card as old as GTX 20, and it's still a viable card. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't feel, I mean, if you're managing to play Cyberpunk and Final Fantasy VII and it's satisfactory for you, I wouldn't see any need to replace that card just yet. It's 2070. Like I said, it's about 3060 level performance. That's not terrible these days.
Yeah. So what you're looking for in a power supply is I would go full modular. That's me. It's going to save you a lot of hassle with not having random cables lying around.
Yeah.
If for whatever reason you can't go full modular, go semi-modular, because the only ones that are definite on that are the motherboard power supplies, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you can just go plug in the extra ones that you need, for video card, etc.
And Corsair, Seasonic, Antec, those are reputable names that we tend to trust with power supplies.
Power supplies are still a little pricey right now, so you might want to look for a deal. I wouldn't go used on power supplies. I just have not had luck with them.
Yeah. Typically, well, the reason you don't go used with a power supply is when a power supply will work until it doesn't. And I mean, you put them in, I mean, they do have some moving parts, they do have a fan involved, but typically once you put enough miles on it, it's going to stop eventually. Now, some of them would last for freaking ever. I mean, you have power supplies from way back in the 80s on XT machines that are still running today with no trouble. But even used is pushing it. There's really no you'll save maybe about $20 on getting a used power supply, and I don't really feel like that saving. I wouldn't.
And you will lose a lot of peace of mind.
Yeah, just the warranty alone is great to have.
I would also go at least gold efficiency, higher if you can afford it.
Yeah, but this definitely, and someone in the channel recommended get Afterburner and check the temperatures. MSI Afterburner. Only get it from MSI's webpage, by the way. They've had trouble with people spoofing it and putting viruses. So MSI Afterburner is a GPU utility that will tell you the temperature of your card. And you can keep that. It will keep logs. If you can't watch it while you're gaming, you can tell it to make a log file and see how high the temperature on your card gets. And you compare that to the standard 2070 operating. I think our 2070 shouldn't go past... If it's gone past 80 degrees Celsius, there's a problem. And even that is pushing it. There are upper limits for these cards. If it goes past 80, then there's definitely a problem. 70 should be about as high as you see for a card like this. And typically they can run most of them run a whole lot better than that. Anything else I'm trying to think of here? I mean, you had a good instinct of opening the case up and letting more airflow in just as a test. That does help if you with overheating, because depending on the case, it might be holding in air. I mean, another thing you can do, obviously, if you while you're at it, while you're doing all this, blow air out. Get any dust out, take it outside, take some canned air to it, blast it out, clean out any of the crap. That always helps. I mean, no matter what the issue with the computer is, getting the dust and crap out of the system will always help performance. I can't think of a single instance when keeping a bunch of dead skin cells and cigarette smoke and whatever the crap gets in there. I can't think of that would help a computer. This to me, the fact that and Mike's right about this, the one that sort of tips us off to it is there's no blue screen. Yeah. That tends to indicate that there is, if there's a driver conflict, if there's something goes wrong with Windows, even for a brief second, you get some sort of indication on screen.
Now, there will be still an event in the event viewer, if you were to look there, saying that there was an unexpected power interruption. Windows does register that. It goes, basically, when it comes back, it goes, why did I must have shut down from unexpected power interruption, because there's nothing else.
But when the screen just goes straight black, the Rurutu makes a good point there. Check the power supply dust filter. Because the power supply itself could also be overheating.
Please disconnect your power supply before checking this.
Yes.
Please also do not disassemble your power supply.
Never take apart a power supply unless you are a licensed electrician or you're willing to take on those risks yourself. Unless you know what you're doing with capacitors.
Yeah, and by the way, risks in this case includes shorting across something and getting thrown through a wall.
Yeah, you stop existing. That's the risk involved with capacitors. Just sort of, you're not around anymore. You're done. but yeah, the symptoms you're explaining, just the power shutting off, that leads that indicates there's something with the power supply. Just never, it's never, I mean, it could be randomly, weirdly, but something else. But generally, what we see these symptoms, and it leans us to think about that. So yeah, look at it, get back with us, see what let us know if that helps. As for the rest of you, let me see. I want to double check, see if anything else came in while we were on tonight. Nothing there. And let me check on channel comments. Nothing there as well. All right, so that's everything for this week. We'll be back next Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Got tech questions for us. Always send those to request@radio.air.com. We will do what we can to help you out. Until then, for Mike and myself, we will see you next time.